downside in life, I think they're obligated just. And the Hawaiian paying twice his taxes to live in Hawaii. He paid to live like everybody else, and then they take 80% of his ceded lands on it. They give Ohana little trinkle. They're the big pimp, prostituted Hawaiians and their lands and their lives, just by using the misery they get money. So I'm saying that this is the understanding that we have as an organization, trying to bring this to the surface and wonder why our Hawaiian governors in the past, our Hawaiian senators in the past, and the ones present are not doing this. What? Do we need the whole University of Hawaii, Hawaiian Studies? What are they doing? Are there issues and concerns? They're still bold, they're still locking us up, we're still on this poverty level where we are downside in society, we're never up. When we become statistics, always on the bad, it's not the bigs. And have this neglectful Hawaiian and Hawaiian homes that we should be possible to step up the plate because they got an obligation as a Hawaiian entity to look at all of the Hawaiian issues and not let this thing be continuing on for years and not being addressed. So our lawsuit has these kind of, I would say, reasons and theories of why we believe in this direction. The state's been neglectful, our trust has been neglectful. So who's going to raise these issues? Does OHA care? You can see not, if we're in the issue. Is a new club care? Is a volleyball team care? Does anybody care? We do. And I think that bringing this to the surface and at the level of government now, that it's got to put some bug in government's ear about their gross neglect and the trust's gross neglect, and be embarrassed having the richest trusts and the state double dipping in our money, and we want statistics. You know, we feed machines with all of our misery and not addressing them to continue. I think it's got to stop. You know, the Howley people get save our reef, save our surf, nature conservation, Audubon Society. What does the Hawaiian have as far as caring for them? Canoe club, ball team. Where is Hawaiian concern of the environment we live in? We're part of it, came with it, we have a right to die with it, not before it. And the way that this thing is, we're all going to be eliminated before it. 400 species of endangered species now will never come back, market, since Western contact. 400. We're going to be 401 because it's starting to save everything else now. It's coming aware of the species and give it habitat, make sure they survive and go on for generations. But where's the Hawaiians and their traditions? We native people aren't native no more. And I think it's hard time that we stop allowing whoever's in charge to continue doing the same abuse to keep us in the same statistics. So we have 30 days to make our complaint on the EA. And you know, maybe that's an opportunity if we do get some kind of a case to talk. Contest case is out because it's a fine. We just have to go to court. I already know and feel they're going to settle because everything I'm telling you is going to come out. Why isn't at the university level where all universities bring this kind of stuff up about human rights and justice? Or are we just all conditioned to be part of this colonialism, assimilation, and not look and address the problems right in front of your face. We've been eating kukai for so long, we're starting to like it. We gotta change our diet, man. And it ain't to eat the crap from government, it's to keep government honest. And I love sovereignty and future and running our own country, but we ain't gonna make it if we sick, we in jail, and we cannot even get ends meet. We'll be a failing nation, guaranteed. So fix before we move forward. Cross the bridge to wherever. Fix the thing so we can be worthy of somebody, something, and be strong in the efforts of the future. If we don't do nothing now, who else can do it? I told you, we're the only organization. Why isn't there more understanding it in depth the way we do? Why isn't our senators and legislatures step up to the plate and do what they're supposed to do? We had Hawaiian governors, we had Hawaiian senators. They were part of the problem. They never fixed nothing. So we stuck with the job. And I'm telling you that as one Hawaiian, there's no Hawaiian word for odds. No more. So I don't deal with that. Just deal with rights. What right things to do. Not with the odds and everything's against us. No more Hawaiian word for that. And no more Hawaiian word for blood quantum. Okay? You feel and you understand and you got solidarity and you got common ground that we can make a difference. I want to learn that in all these years. You don't gonna make them as a Hawaiian by yourself. You need everybody.
Yeah.
Because everybody was part of the problem. In you solving the problem, you got everybody to turn around now to be part of solving the problem. Yeah. I think that's why we had to do it. We had 30 days. It was something legal. We had nothing against anybody, but we had to file within 30 days and take it from there. We knew that we didn't have an attorney, but we could do it pro se just to get in the door. Now that we're in the door, now it's they're coming back to tell us what the game is that they want to play. But I think going through this many times, we just have to fine tune the steps and we put more meat on one skeleton that we created and create one living thing. And that's where we're at. So we got Bill here, Professor Chang from Richardson School of Law. I met when we were doing the things down at South Point, maybe 25 years ago, and still at it. So I'm glad he helped us out a lot in looking and drafting our EA so that we could file it as say. And we're just happy he came today and spent some time, and we got a list of questions, and anybody get questions, this is the time to get answers.
What you said, 1978, when Shinichi Kimura found out that the Western Way wasn't taking our inmates, he threw that issue to the Hawaiian organization. Aolike took that and they hired all kupunas. And one of them was Auntie Abby Nakiai. I was her bus driver and the bus driver. And I had the opportunity to be with her for 10 years. She brought the re-arrest rate from 60% to 3.5%. And then we ran a youth offenders project. We brought it from 45% recidivist rate to 3%. Judge Moon awarded her, recognized her for that. So we're talking about cultural sensitivity. That's what it's about. Yeah, bagels and potato approach. The Western way is, the language, English so direct. Hawaiian, the old Hawaiian language, today the language they use in the subject, verb, object. But the old Hawaiian language was always poetry means they talk around the circle means how you feel that. They like you think. They don't tell you direct. So as Auntie Abby went into it, she don't look the peel off inside there. She look the worth of the soul of him. He's the most important person that walk on this face of this earth. We all are. We all are. And with this cultural sensitivity, she was able to help them know who they are and what they are. And that's why that recidivism rate went down, right down. because they wasn't what the state thought they were. No, the Creator didn't bring us to be failures upon this earth. His mentors were supposed to teach him what life was all about. But you know, as you said, that curse, we call him grandfather curse, continue. When they allow it to happen, it will continue until you fix the problem. Yeah, fix the problem. So as I said, it has been proven already. Yeah. It has been proven, it's there. Yeah. So if they're going to tell us, well, does it work? Well, then what you
Howard, can you give me those figures for the minutes again, the 40%?
In fact, I'll give you better than that. I'll give you the report. I'll bring you the award from Make It Complete.
Great, good, good.
Better when you give answers than you bring the whole part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you're,
good question. Because everything has to be, you know, the government, everything got to be.
and you're on our witness list if we ever go to court.
Yeah. So, does it work? So, in fact, my daughter, she's at University of Utah. Peter Okolea. So I told her, so what you gonna do? They were supposed to make a memorandum of understanding. She lost her eye. This guy, she got hurt on the job in this clinic. The supervisor was prejudiced. She make all those other guys go inside, have a fun, and she make these black Hawaiian do all the work. She got hurt on the job. So she get 4 lawsuits on there. Then she's going for PA, physician assistant. They put that crap on her. But you know her is not stupid, this girl. 7 years old, she was diabetic. Small mother, only 5 feet, 120. She was 7 years old. We went to 8 doctors. 4 times she go, 4 days a week she was rushing to the hospital. Finally I told the number 8 doctor, now for her age, you go call Kulani Hospital. I said, now, we have to step on the plate. Today she's 37. So I told her, they had a school board came, they want to kick her out. They couldn't accommodate her. They break their policy. There's a disabled policy procedure. They never even organized that. They just looked at her as one dark skin Hawaiian. So she has the face with her now. So I called her. I just wanted to know if she still got it here. I said, well, you gonna quit? She said, Dad, come on. I want to be a doctor. So you got you did your homework? Oh yeah, I got all my email. All my email is my evidence. I told her, oh, well, I see a nice truck and one car in my phone. Oh, I said, Denver, how? But this Hawaiian girl, she said, Dad, they've been doing this for years on the minority, this school. The school been doing it to the minority. Nobody was scared to bark. They put the minority things way down by the corner. And the other ones all face. She said, no way. She said, I live in integrity. That's what I've been taught. Integrity. They had all these values and rules. She told them, if I didn't follow those rules, nothing. I was on YouTube, I saw this young lady, 12 years old, she was talking to the United Nations. 5 minutes she had the world stopped for 5 minutes. She said, you guys told us when we were in kindergarten to share and care and help each other and do all that. Now I'm 12 years old, it's all a lie. But my daughter, I'm so proud of her. I told her, I think she pulled the pin. Dad, what you taught me? Well, you gotta do your homework. So, she's like us, what you're doing today. If we're gonna allow it to happen, nothing will be fixed. Yeah. I said, you know what you are? When pit bull dog. A lot of dogs, when they come, they run, eh? You throw a rock, the dog runs. But you one dog, he throw a rock, you know, run. Now the university says scrambling now. They say scrambling because she's using their law against it. Yeah. And I'm so proud of her. I told her, oh girl, continue. But as I said, it's been proven, so I'll get all this stuff. And then I'll email it to you to be part of whatever.
Before we start with Bill, I'd like to aloha Rocky Jensen, everybody.
How are you? Mr. Combo, is it?
That's right. State treasure.
Yeah.
State treasure.
All right. Oh, yeah.
You can come sit up front now.
Pineapple no good.
Yeah. Spoiled, get it spoiled.
Yeah, culture sensitive.
Okay, welcome, Bill. Should we start asking questions? Or you
Ask
wanna
questions, ask
introduce?
away.
Okay. You go ahead. Everybody got the agenda? We'll start with number 8. If you wanna, or should you tell him already where we at before he starts?
Well, the main thing I would like to hear would be what you think of the legal merits about a case against the state of Hawaii for the violation of the civil rights of Native Hawaiians, because they knew of the disproportionate number of Hawaiians in the prison system and did nothing about it all these years. And Radine's PhD is saying more than 60% on Native Hawaiians. So I wanted.
It's number 2, right?
Okay, yeah.
You want to start with number 2?
That's what I would really
That's
like
what Ron
to
wants
hear.
to hear about.
Yeah.
Okay, I spent the day yesterday doing research on that. The
Oh,
whole day, 10 hours.
wow.
Thank you.
And no confined.
Oh,
In other words, I look for like African Americans, Hispanics. They too are overrepresented in the prison population.
yeah.
And I tried to find cases where they would have sued and brought an action like you're suggesting,
Yeah.
but I couldn't find any. Why? Because you have to show that there is intent. There's intent on the part of the government to profile and directly imprison, arrest, place in probation Hawaiians, African Americans, and Hispanics or Filipinos. So there are other groups that have disproportionate number of people in prison. There are other groups.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find a single case where they were brought a successful suit saying that the government was violating their civil rights. The kind of case that can be brought is if you find proof of intent. You have to show that, for example, in New York's stop, frisk, and detain law, they had orders out to the police department saying stop, frisk, and detain African American persons. If you can find that in writing, then we got a good case for civil rights action. But in the hearing on I read a hearing. They had 2 deputy prosecuting attorneys who testified, probably a hearing that you were at. Cecilia Chang and another one was, well, I forgot the name. But they said, oh no, we don't target. We don't go out of our way to arrest Hawaiians. No. Maybe that's bullshit. That probably is bullshit. Because, in the mind, you already get one picture, right? Yeah. Who's the, look at the lineup. Sure. Who's the Hawaiian who's guilty? Yeah. So, no, but that kind doesn't work. We have to have express intent. So a civil rights action in court would probably fail. But that's not to say you couldn't bring it. You could bring it to highlight the fact that Hawaiians are being disproportionately arrested, convicted, and reconvicted, and denied probation and parole. And it's going to be dismissed, but it would be at least a way of conveying to the community at large that there's a huge problem here. You have the Kanaka Maoli, the original people of Hawaii, who the United States has admitted illegally were overthrown by the United States.
Isn't that an intent?
Cannot make that intent, cannot.
You cannot.
Cannot.
Even with a written, signed by the president,
Yeah, cannot. But
apology.
if you want to go farther, the case that might win is one where you say the United States occupies Hawaii. You've heard of that probably. Occupies Hawaii because the annexation was not valid. The United States occupies Hawaii, and if it's an occupying power and it's taken over Hawaii, then it has an obligation to enforce the laws of the last power and that might be the Kingdom of Hawaii, that might be the Republic of Hawaii. But occupation would raise two big issues. One would be occupation, and the other would be the disproportionate number of Hawaiians who are being held in jail. The United States to be accused of occupation, that would drown out everything, because that would mean the United States' whole presence in Hawaii is illegal. Not only their presence in the prisons, but the fact that they imprison Hawaiians is a violation of the laws of war. And so the laws of occupation go through war. So that's like the atomic bomb, if you're dropping the atomic bomb. But nobody wants to drop the atomic bomb yet, because that means basically the military here is illegal. The United States is illegal. The court system is illegal. That would go way too far in many ways that most people would not really be able to handle. But if you went that far, you could say that there is a cause of action, a lawsuit possible, that Hawaiians should not be imprisoned in the manner and number in which they are. But besides that, I looked through everything yesterday. I couldn't find a case where they had proof of profiling and proof of intent to arrest Hawaiians. You're not gonna find anybody who says, yeah, we intentionally arrest Hawaiians.
But have anyone tried it?
No one's tried it.
No one's tried it,
No one's tried it. I couldn't find any case. I found articles on it.
Yeah.
Like the disproportionate incarceration of African Americans. What history and the first decade of the 21st century have brought. I looked through this. They are being disproportionately incarcerated, but there's no suit that's incited. You can pass this around.
Can I go back to the to this? Can I talk about theory of justice? Yeah.
Theory of justice.
Okay. My understanding of justice is there are two types of justice: distributive justice and retributive justice.
Right.
Okay, and most of the law is based on retributive justice. You make you violate something and then they attack you, right?
Yeah.
But the original justice is distributive. Everybody should get fair share of everything. And to me, this is not fair share. The fact that Hawaiians are not being treated fairly is justice. And that's the basis of law, isn't? So can we, is there no way of making a case on distributive justice?
You can make the case morally and politically. It's a very compelling case. But remember where you are. You're in America. Look what they did to the Native Americans.
Sure.
They're all in jail.
Sure.
Were they targeted? Surely they were. African Americans, are they being targeted? Surely they are. You're in America, and America is not going to admit this. America's not going to admit. Its prisons are filled with minorities. But for it to admit that, it would have to be admitting that it's an unfair society. It's a society without distributive justice. Now, the reality is, the law is very conservative. The reality is that social change and movement comes from political forces. So the idea is to use the law as a way of highlighting political causes. The law is not going to give you the victory easy. Like you get hit by a car. Okay, all I got to do is show I got hit by the car and I win and I get some damages and No. The American judicial system has been set up to keep things the way it has been for 200 years. And the way it has been to oppress, imprison minorities. First they had slavery. And so what we can use the system, but the system is not going to be our friend. Like all the attorney generals, even though they, in all the police departments, even though they got Hawaiians in the police force, they're going to say, we don't target Hawaiians. And they may think they don't. They just say, oh, the Hawaiians commit more crimes. But they're not going to the basic reasons why. And the law doesn't care about that at the moment. We don't care why you committed this crime. So what I'm saying is, I'm a law professor, but I'm very skeptical about the law as an instrument of change. It's an instrument that you can use as a weapon for change. Like the suit we filed on the environmental assessment. chances are is 50-50. But it's a vehicle for bringing out to the public, hey, Act 117, the legislature said, make Kulani Correctional Facility a Pu'uhonua. You know, show it to your representative, show it to your state senator. Hey, you guys said create a contest, a conflict between the courts and the legislature. In other words, tell the courts, you guys are way behind. The legislature is already saying Kulani is identified as the prime site for Pu'uhonua, and so you courts, are you going to overturn the language of the legislature? Now, you're not going to get a court to say, okay, there's a rule that says we have to make Kulani our correctional Pu'uhonua. You're not going to get a court to say that. They're too conservative. But you can get the legislature to come in and say, we don't want the courts to intervene in here. This is an area of policy that the governor and the legislature should decide and make Kulani Correctional Facility a Pu'uhonua. So my point on the two lawsuits are, they are political suits. You could bring a suit saying Hawaiians are disproportionately being imprisoned, incarcerated. But when we look at some other political moves, one might be, in light of what the Attorney General Eric Holder was saying about minimum sentencing for drug offenses. He's coming down and saying, hey, too many people in prison. Go to him now and say, I'd like to see the Justice Department investigate the state of Hawaii. And why, call for a Justice Department investigation. Just like the Justice Department is investigating that George Zimmerman. Oh, was he acting with racist motives? Well, we don't have to go to court. Let's go to the Justice Department and say, hey, we got here a disproportionate number of minorities, particularly Hawaiians, in prison who are being incarcerated and are being denied parole, and they're kept in prison, and their recidivism is so high that the numbers speak for itself. You've got to look at it. So don't ask them to sue. Ask the Justice Department to come in and help us. The other thing I was looking at was, why not get grants from the Ford Foundation, from other foundations that are interested in criminal justice? I pulled up some of the funds that the Ford Foundation gave out. It gave out to the Asian Law Caucus in San Francisco, $475,000 in 2009, $400,000 in 2011. For what? Advancing racial justice and minority rights. In other words, this organization can say, in effect, to the Ford Foundation, we have here examples of a wellness center, a wellness approach, a Pu'uhonua approach that has worked. We have Chief Justice Boone's Award, we have a situation where it's not working, and it's clear that it's targeting a certain minority group. Why don't you give us $400,000 so that we can implement a program at Kulani Correctional Facility? Yes.
Could we not go to Senator Will Espero, since he's the financial committee for the prison system?
Sure. So the idea.
Can we address this to him? Because he's the one going to feed Cape Sakai. If he doesn't, he's the one approved Cape Sakai's budget.
That's very critical. That's the thing to do. In other words,
he just threw his name in the hat to run for the representative, Colleen.
Yeah, see.
On a booster seat.
oh, that's critical there.
Oh,
In other
now
words,
we have leverage.
I want to simplify everything that I just said down to, as a lawyer and a lawyer that's been involved in progressive causes, you rarely see the court giving you what you want directly.
Yeah.
Or you want Paul, I'll be back. Yeah. Usually, you have to use the legal battle as a way to publicize the underlying conditions that are so wrong, the public becomes aware of it and says something has to be done, and then you get the politicians to move. And so I'm saying Eric Holder, Attorney General, is a politician.
Yeah.
Barack Obama was from Hawaii.
Yeah.
The congressional delegation from Hawaii should have made it a key point when they met with him. They met with him last week. Barack Obama met with Kulani and Maisie and Brian Schatz. They should have said, "Oh, we have this report. We have Radine's report. We have this. We have a report of the Civil Rights Commission that says Hawaiians are disproportionately in jail, and a lot of it is drug offenses, and minimum drug sentencing by the federal judges is causing it. And now you're going to back away from that policy. You should investigate Hawaii." So we should be putting pressure politically by using these statistics, and you could bring that lawsuit. You could bring the lawsuit even though it's going nowhere. Even if it's going nowhere, and it just says in effect, it's a violation of civil rights, it's a violation of the sovereignty of Native Hawaiians, you apologize for the overthrow. Hawaiians carry an extra burden that they have to fight back every day to preserve their homeland, their home language. That's not true if you're Japanese. You got a Japan somewhere, or they got some Japanese. They got Japanese cooking over there.
Right.
But you can make the distinction that Hawaiians are the indigenous people of Hawaii, that they're in prison more than anyone else,
Right.
and that should be investigated by the Justice Department. If you're going to apologize, do something.
Yeah.
So my work yesterday and all this really points to the fact that these are great political issues, and that you should use the lawyers as steps in a political process of pushing the state and the federal government. And one way to do that is to file suits that you know you're not going to win, but that raise the issue. And you do a press conference. You say, you know, we're having first press conference. We would like the Justice Department, based on the Civil Rights Commission reports and the studies at the University of Hawaii, to investigate the disproportionate number of Native Hawaiians who are in jail, in parole systems, in probation, and the high amount of recidivism that's created there. The Justice Department is saying, in effect, that its own sentencing system is not progressive, that it puts people, mandatory sentencing for minimum drug crimes is not the way to go. And the proof lies in Hawaiians. Now, the United States has apologized to Hawaiians in 1993. You have to make the connection that part of the heartbreak, the grief that Hawaiians suffer every day is the overthrow of their kingdom. So one, you could have a press conference and say, in effect, we want the Justice Department to come in. That would do what? That would put a wedge into the state. The state doesn't want the federal government coming in here and checking its prison system out. But you could say that's the first step. We don't trust the state. We want the feds to come in. We don't trust the feds too much either. We're going to call them the UN. But that's how you start to use people against each other and get this Pu'uhonua designated and constructed. If you say, look, we had this Pu'uhonua summit. Everybody came. Everybody was on board. Everybody was going rah, 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 rah. We have an answer. Let us try to fix it. And you go to the Ford Foundation, you say, we had this Pu'uhonua summit. We want to implement this in collaboration perhaps with the state. Give us $800,000. Then you go to OHA and say, the Ford Foundation is giving us money. You're supposed to give us money. And you say to OHA, how come you don't want to match that? So it seems to me that you've done the work, which is the Pu'uhonua summit. That was the key thing. You're not coming out of the blue going, we have this, pie in the sky idea. It's work. And so that you can use it, and you can use it to achieve political change. But the way to achieve political change, law is only one element. You can't say, oh, the law could save me. I've never seen that. In all the political struggles I've seen, the law comes in and does a little bit, helps you a little bit. But it's politics and the political process, people power that changes the status quo. So, my point on that lawsuit is, yes, it's a good lawsuit. It's not going to go far, but it's a good public lawsuit. I was reading, when I was reading, looking for those lawsuits, another good lawsuit. If you're a felon, if you're a misdemeanor, if you're convicted of a misdemeanor, you cannot vote. You cannot vote. All these Hawaiians cannot vote. And people have brought suits saying, hey, all the blacks are in prison, they cannot vote. That's a denial of the right to vote. Well, they lose generally on the suit, but you could bring a suit like that and you could narrow it and say, oh, us Hawaiians, we just want to vote in an Oha election. You can take away my right to vote for president maybe, but if Oha is sovereign, why not let me vote for my Oha trustee? So all the Hawaiians in Saguro and all that could bring a lawsuit saying, we want to vote in an Oha election. We think we have a right to do that. The state cannot deny us the civil liberty of being able to vote for our own sovereign entity. So that would, that suit has a better chance, but that would also bring out the disparity, the disproportionate number of Hawaiians. Like, oh, thinking he better go campaign in Seguro now. He better go campaign in prison. They better in other words, why do you think prisoners don't get any help? They have no political rights. No, they don't vote for people. If they voted for people, you go see this holding a sign in front of OCCC, huh? Now I'm not saying that one's going to work, but these are lawsuits that bring out the facts that you have already brought out at the Pu'uhonua Summit and in your reports. You've done the work, and the wrong is there. The wrong is the disproportionate number of Hawaiians in jail. And that, has gone on forever. And everybody just thinks, oh, they're prisoners, they got no rights. But they do have rights. They do have rights, and there is a better way. And cost effectively, it doesn't make sense to incarcerate a drug offender rather than to rehabilitate them. We know these to be facts. You get all the academics, the professors will testify to that. You get the Ford Foundation to agree to that. You get the Ford Foundation on your side. I guarantee you get Ford Foundation money. Ohana,
Also on the statistics of the family, there's a lot of kids giving problems in the school.
Yeah.
And when I was a security at the KL elementary school, all these kids was giving the problem. All the parents are in prison. So it also adds, we can get those frequency numbers and show, hey, this is what's happening. Not only those who are incarcerated, but to his family. It's affecting the wife and the kids. The kids, in the end, what they call? It's two cars. I hear all the Toyotas, they're rubbing all the Toyotas. And that's all the kids, parents in the car. So this issue, it's just like on cancer, so what you're saying is we gotta grab all this.
So then you can apply it for grants and education.
We're gonna address some of the things.
So to me, this is a real good issue. Because you get your ducks lined up. There's no place where it doesn't make sense to go to a Pu'uhonua. And the state knows that. That's why they passed Act 117.
Yeah.
Okay, what I see is inevitably at some point in time they're going to create a Pu'uhonua. But we want it now. That's the key. We want it sooner than later. And so the pressure can come from the feds, from the Ford Foundation, from the United Nations, groups like that. And it'll come to where? It comes directly onto the governor. And the governor should make a decision. If it's not Kulani Correctional Facility, it's got to be the next one immediately. It's got to be the next open space with state funding. That's right.
I would love to get Radine Karasuda on the witness stand, because her PhD thesis was exactly on the disproportionate number of Hawaiians in the prison system. And she started off by looking for the statistics in the state, and then she realized you cannot trust the Department of Public Safety statistics. So she's agreed that we can quote her as saying she thinks it's more than 60%. Yeah. So, and then she said, because I couldn't trust the statistics, I had to write my thesis in a different way to show the beginning of the colonial process and all the cumulative effect it had on the Hawaiians. So the whole thesis is about that. So that's, I think, she's just saying what you are saying also, but in a PhD thesis, yeah. So I think that impact of her saying that on the stand would be politically very strong, yeah? And she's willing to do that, yeah.
My father wanted to be a school teacher, and my grandparents became alcoholics. But he graduated Hill High School in 1927, but because the parents was alcoholics, one of the closest that he could come was policemen. Hawaiians, they don't go to college, but they're smart enough to be on policemen. But that's what happened. And he had him on his journal. I get my father's journal. My grandparents were alcoholics, so they'd overthrown and just been alcoholics. You even have what they died from, the diarrhea and all that stuff. I tell you, we can relate and get all these stories what happened. And that's what happened. My father couldn't be a school teacher, so he had to take something second. So it did affect. It did. And it's in my father's career.
I have a question. Can we, is there an opportunity for other organizations like Amicus or, Friends of the Courts? Can you have them do the same thing that we did at this stage, or is that just in a court case, or can we do it at the EA stage?
You can do it at a later stage, not this early, but when the other side responds to the lawsuit that was filed, they're going to say, oh no, everything is complete, we filed everything, there's no finding of significant impact. Then the judge is going to set a court date, then we have to file a brief backing up our claim, and that's when the amicus brief would be appropriate.
Okay, so we get that set up already.
We get that set up.
And amicus is like other groups agreeing with our lawsuit and file as friends of the courts, which is called an amicus.
Called amicus, yeah.
So we think about what all the organizations support what we're doing in our claims. We have to have a list of that too, not just witnesses, but other organizations willing to go through an amicus stage and support. Right?
And actually what you're saying, when the Hawaiians step on each other, you're looking at all these guns facing. And I hope, I see the Hawaiian organizations are stepping on each other. I know when they step on each other, they're talking about numbers of votes, and they're going to be in the voting poll. Yeah. So the Hawaiians organization gotta step on each other. So when they talk by votes. Follow our rule, you will be governor. So it's like Panayeva, we working with one of our councilors. We told him, hey, we don't want this. He said, then we kick you out. We don't vote for you. It's a kyoka Panayeva, new history. And Pu'uhonua, and Ka'u, and Maku'u. So I see our Hawaiians are all stepping on each other. Now we're getting good leaders in there, like you, smart ones coming in. So I can see the Hawaiians are coming in because what was there. My grandparents became alcoholics. My father kept us so that we don't be alcoholics. And now my mother fought when they had the sewer plant. It's not all kukai, and put them in kyoka. But the Hawaiians wasn't smart. They want to make demonstration, they never take them court. But today, the Hawaiians are doing this. They have them, it's all there. When we do this, we bring in all the Hawaiians together, step, what? Numbers of vote. When time for vote, we tell the governor, you don't give us this, you ain't gonna be governor. That's the bottom line, right? Yeah, so That's why I'm here. I'm busy. I'm all in this agency, try to run. But somebody took my name out of my list. I was ready for Good Friday out there.
Yeah.
I don't know who would take them out. But as I say, when the Hawaiians take on each other, and these policy makers, we're going to look at with votes, we're going to tell them, hey, you know help us. You know.
Yeah, my whole family not gonna vote for you.
My whole family. Pay us 500 of us. Represent. Only pay us.
It's not just the man in jail, it's his daughters, his sons.
500.
500.
500 only pay us. So when the Hawaiians stick together, which we are, we all sticking. And we have the same thing. We know like all the agencies, if you look at all the agencies, they're all trying to help the family. And especially those incarcerated. So every organization have a family that is incarcerated. And what's their goal? They're trying to put the family together. Yeah. So I know when we can bring all of them, tell them, hey, if we resolve this issue, when you're able to get more grant money for yourself. It's the same thing. Everybody's doing the same thing. We just gotta stack on each other. But we are, as I say, the East Hawaii, Pane'ewa, Hawaiian home, we're all in stack. So what happened was, they get this money, Ha'ola Inc. got this money, but they thought there was Ohio, so they was flying the money all over. So the white care business guys took them out. They told Hawaiian Homes, hey, this money was supposed to be East Hawaii. So Hawaiian Homes get the money, now they're going to give it to us. The 7, and the community is all together now. And when I go in the meeting, I hear the same story coming out of their mouth. So it's good when we can see the Hawaiians come together and we can correlate with them, tell them what you guys are doing. Because as I say, they're doing the same thing. They have families that are incarcerated. As we say, once we come back, bro, you know, follow us, we know vote for you.
That talks.
Is there any position that the prisoners can take at this stage, or it is not accepted by society or by the courts to be part of this lawsuit?
It would be important to have some prisoners as plaintiffs, because that's one of the weaknesses of our play is, it's called standing. Who has injury in fact? Who's going to be hurt if the Kulani Correctional Facility is not made a Pu'uhonua? And you got Ohana Ho'opakele. But the guy who can be hurt is the guy who would be in a Pu'uhonua, except he's not going to be in a minimum security prison. So it would be good to get some people as plaintiffs pro se who are potentially the ones who would get directly benefited by being put in a Pu'uhonua.
One thing I didn't write, I don't know if Polly is all right with this, but Polly was incarcerated in Kulani. So I was going to put his name in that, because then he can say, yeah, I was there was no spirit, nothing spiritual in their program. It was an excellent place to be.
Exactly.
Never had fence at that time. There was so much corruption in it. You know, you can say a lot.
I was there.
But from the inside, yeah. I didn't write it down because I didn't get his permission. I said, well, I better not type this out. I erased it. So I
It's
said,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, it's good. It's good to put it in.
Yeah, but I thought, they're gonna argue, they just did enough to do EA on getting Kulani back as a prison, right?
Right.
And they're gonna argue there's no need for EIS.
Right.
Now, you know this last article that Tom Callis wrote? He wrote, there was an EIS. And he wrote the article before about ours, and I said, this is intentional. How can the same Tribune Herald reporter who wrote on our case 1 week before writes this next front page article saying they did one EIS? You know? They didn't, yeah? And he should know better. He's the same reporter who wrote the other thing, unless somebody wrote it for him, yeah? So what's the chances are we're going to open a court hearing so that witnesses can come up?
Depends on the judge. The judge has to be moved to be progressive and allow the testimony. He may rule against us in the end,
Yeah, yeah.
But the key is to allow the testimony in
That's right, that's right.
and
That's
put
the
on
key.
Radine on the stand.
Yeah, yeah.
A narrow judge would say, that's not relevant. The only thing relevant is this parcel of land. What is the environmental impact on this parcel of land of making it into a minimum security prison? And he doesn't look at the social, he doesn't look at the anthropological, he doesn't look at the economic, he doesn't look at the welfare.
Yeah,
And so we have to argue that
yeah.
and hope that the judge rules in our favor and says, okay, allow it in. We can say, Judge, you can rule against us, but at least allow us to present our testimony. And if he doesn't allow it in, well, we'll present it anyway.
Sure.
We present it by affidavits.
Yeah, I see.
And the key is to make the case a center of public attention. Because we want the facts to come out. You don't have to win, you want the facts to come out.
Right. Well, at least, from the difference between the draft and the final, the only difference was they stuck in Act 117.
Mm-hmm.
They stuck it in, not in appendix, not in the final environmental assessment.
Oh, yeah.
So they opened up the door because Ohana Ho'opakele is named in the Act 117. So they opened up that door too.
Yes, that's
The,
very,
the,
very
the
good.
very little, small door, but at least they opened it up.
Yeah.
You think there is going to be a push in time because of them announcing 2014 to open Kulani, and is this lawsuit going to be a pressure on sell it right away, get it on in a court, get a calendar date right away, or what? What do you see them really using? I think it was July
July 1st, 2014.
That's less than a year now.
There's going to be some in the department who just follow their orders. And they're going to be told, we want this by 2014. And they're going to, if they at the Attorney General's office, if they at the Department of Public Safety, are just going to say, okay, we'll push for this. And they're the ones who we have to worry about. That's the ones we have to basically beat. We have to say to them, okay, you push for that, but we want it to be an open proceeding. We want to be able to present our testimony. So, I'm confident that because the legislature spoke in Act 117, the judge will open it up. And I'm confident of that.
Then that's going to delay.
That's going to
That's going to delay it already. Because when the governor made the press conference, he did his press conference, the only thing that the reporters picked up is when he announced Kulani going to open on July 1st. The rest of it was not news. In his press conference, everybody only wrote about that. So that's when it came in the news, television too. Even, what's the name? Channel 8.
Channel 8.
Taketa? Is it Taketa? It is the Japanese wahine who,
Stephanie, no.
no, I think it was Joy or something, Taketa.
Well,
Short name. Anyway, she called me up at home, to see what Ohana Ho'opakele's reaction to that was. So we sent her a packet, but she never covered it this last time. But at least, that was the news. So if we're forcing them to delay that, I think Polly is saying, will it open up on space for negotiation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
in other words, the governor will be under great, the governor will be under great pressure if you delay it.
Yeah.
That's simple. I mean, the state's policy, they want to bring people back from Arizona. So you can bring them back to a prison or bring them back to a Pu'uhonua. So it seems to me we need to have the leverage to make sure they come back to Pu'uhonua, not to prison. And I'm wondering, besides this suit, what else can we leverage to force that to happen? Do we need to start the Holder investigation thing, or are there a couple other steps?
You announce in a public press conference that you'd like to have the Justice Department investigate the Department of Public Safety, the Honolulu Police Department, for the incarceration of a disproportionate number of Hawaiians. and the application of the drug laws in particular to Native Hawaiians. And so you play that, and then you go to your legislators and you show them 117. You show them 117. You signed that. You voted for that. That's law. 117 gives preference to Kulani Correctional Facility at Pu'uhonua. So what are you going to do? You want votes next election. You want Hawaiians to vote for you or what? And so, especially the Hawaiians in the ledge, Maile Tunapua, those people, they understand. See, it's a win-win. It's win-win. At the bottom line, it's win-win. Nobody loses if this becomes a Pu'uhonua.
The state, because they'll save money.
The state's going to save money. And as soon as people realize that, it's going to be like a train starting to move. Yeah. So, you know, everybody's got an interest to get on board. The Clayton Heaths, the Maile Shimbakuros, even the Malama Solomons.
Hey, Carol.
Yeah.
No, I don't get too far.
So
Malama and
is this a way to avoid the lawsuit, get a settlement out of this, to get Kulani open? And the whole lawsuit be stopped if they commit to open Kulani's Pu'uhonua.
Yeah, well, we would stop. Yeah, they would say, will you drop your lawsuit? If they open it as a Pu'uhonua, sure.
Sure.
They might come back and say, well, we want to give you this land in 2016.
Yeah, feel the
It's up to you
Yeah,
guys. You know, you
Feel
believe them, or if there's a solid deal there. But it puts the pressure on the governor.
So you gotta hear the latest, which is a phone call from Dante Carpenter, right? He's the campaign chairman for the Democratic Party. He talked to Neil Abercrombie and Ted Sakai, and what was they saying? He talked to you.
So Dante, who's our advisor, one of our advisors, and the one who suggested us looking at Kulani in the first place, went in and talked to the governor on July the 30th. Yeah. And I talked to him at length on the phone, and he'll be on the phone tomorrow morning with us at our regular meeting to say from his mouth what the governor said and Ted Sakai. But he said both of them are open to a Pu'uhonua. The only problem they have is we're pushing for Hawaiians only. That's what he said. And so I told Dante, no, we won't agree with on Pu'uhonua in the prison. Our position is it can't be a Pu'uhonua in the prison. It gotta be on Pu'uhonua. You can't put one Hawaiian cultural stuff in one prison and call it one Pu'uhonua. It's not one Pu'uhonua.
Yeah.
And he said, I agree with that. He said, I understand that. That's not what we're talking about, yeah? So, but he says they're open to it. Now, he's saying, Ted Sakai, after we filed the lawsuit on Friday, and he called Dante because I think he was surprised that we did that. And they met last Tuesday. After we filed it on Friday, he met with, he heard about it and met with Dante on Tuesday. Yeah. So I think he was surprised that we filed the complaint.
But what was the conversation?
So, well, Ted's line is, well, I want to see that they can really do it. What's the details? What is the curriculum? How much the budget? How many staff? Who's going to hire the staff and all of that? He's talking specifics like that, as if it's on our side to prove to him that the Pu'uhonua actually is can work. Yeah. And I think the burden is on his side, you know. They're the ones, the Act 117 is clear, I think, yeah. It doesn't say Ohana Ho'opakele going to do it. It says Department of Public Safety in cooperation with Ohana Ho'opakele and other restorative justice groups will come back with a plan for Pu'uhonua Wellness Center, preferably at Kulani unless a better site is found. And they've never shown a better site, you know. He agrees that Kulani is a good site for Pu'uhonua. He agrees that it's spiritual. He agrees with everything, but he's not following the act.
Well, if what's missing is the details, the nuts and bolts, tell them, you know, give us the money. Give us $800,000, a budget, a line item budget in the legislature, and we'll organize it.
So we have an appointment on August 22nd that he's coming to meet with us here. This is set up by Wendy Cortez, the governor's liaison, right after the meeting up at Kulani. Yeah, but he had promised within 30 days he would come back with a report after meeting with Joby Magasatani and Bill Ayla. Well, he met with both departments, and he claims that they're both willing to cooperate in looking for land to build a Pu'uhonua on. But in their mind, they're still thinking outside of the prison system. Ohana Ho'opakele build it. It's way down the line, right? If we can build it outside of the prison system, we're saying no, gotta be inside the prison system with 1 year left on their sentence. And Hawaiians only from this island, because they have family here, and we think there are more than 200 Hawaiians who would apply from Saguaro alone from this island with 1 year left on their sentence, yeah?
Well, the question is going to be, what are you willing to negotiate? Because I think with the governor can look good on this, right?
Sure.
The governor can look good.
He's not doing anything for Hawaiians so far, right?
So he is likely to do this, but the devil is in the details. What are you going to negotiate? Hawaiians only, to him, as a politician, that looks exclusive. Like you're cutting out the Japanese. Like, you guys let in one Japanese, okay? Two, but that's for you to negotiate as Ohana Ho'opakele. And so that's that. Once it comes to that stage, I'm sure you can negotiate it. You know, maybe 90% Hawaiian is going to be okay. 90% of the Big Island is going to be okay for you.
Well, Paulie said, we'll give you one Japanese, one Chinese, one Portuguese, one Howley seat, yeah? So we get 200 beds, so we're going to minus those, you know,
Well,
6 groups, and you get 194, yeah, Hawaiians.
You know, social change doesn't come without negotiation. You're going to negotiate this. So,
But you know, culturally, if you're talking about us, here was an opening that allowed everyone. That's why we have a melting pot today. Not a very good melting pot, but nevertheless, it's something that's said orally. But when you look at this Maoli culture, they included everyone, just like the way they were born. It was an ecosystem. It's like their emotion. It was all based on what they were brought into. We were brought into this plane for a purpose. Now to change the game, just like the blacks. I didn't want to come to America. You brought me here to do your bidding. Now it didn't work here. They tried with the plantation. It didn't. That's why they brought the Japanese and the Chinese. But culturally, for me, when you mention Pu'uhonua, culturally, that's what's the big stab and the poke in the eye. For me, if it's 90% Hawaiians, let's include the Chinese. Let's include the Japanese. But they have to understand, we authorized this. We sanctioned this because we allowed you to be part of us. See, the ecosystem now becomes broader because you're now including other people to participate in your beliefs. Mm-hmm. We're not going to Japan to tell you guys don't do this. We're not going to China to tell you guys don't do that. Mm-hmm. We came here so we can allow you to share. And we want to change the emotional aspect of those people. Mm-hmm. Those prisoners don't deserve. The Duva shells were like that. They were sent to San Francisco. My great-grandfather and them were just kangaroo court. 15 years in prison. No say, no nothing, no get back, no apologies. Now that to me is where a system fails big time. My wife tells me it's the past. No, it's the system that is failing, and it's a system that continues to fail because of these things that you guys feel strongly about is what's making you sit here at this table. Because something will be amiss, And the thing that will be amiss is the Pu'uhonua that you guys are trying to express. That will heal so many wounds. You have no idea, including those other races that are included. You know, to me, a small, minute number of people that will become my friend is the bigger picture in the end, like you said, right? Because that's the pressure that will now enlarge itself. You included others. In this way, it's not just us alone. Yeah, it is us alone. But it is us that will set the precedent. Because you see, the value that you're trying to bring in this paperwork is what makes us human. Kanaka is humankind. So when we're talking Kanaka, we're talking about them wanting to reap the rewards of the traditional system. That Pu'uhonua, what they wanted to do with the military. There's no color, everyone's included. But the prison, they're cutting us up in pieces. Now we're including everybody again. We go stack on each other, he said. But that's the way we are. We've always been that. Aloha is not a word that they use. It's the integrity that we expected of each human being. So the system is failing us in terms of integrity to humanity. That's why I fight for this. That's why when he told me to come, my belief is if we take care of our humankind, it will be a better place. Because we will be able to extend it not only to the Hawaiian communities, but every other agencies and other groups, organizations will see that that pattern, that footprint, that will set the precedent. That Pu'uhonua is important. It should be sacred because it will include all of us. When you think about what happens to the families, we know what happened to the Dubishals. They got lambasted. They got kicked out of Puko'o, and nothing else happened after that. They went down in the tube. My great-grandfather, my grandfather, they became alcoholics. My mom ran away from home when she was 16 from Molokai. How do you patch that up? You don't. The bitterness goes to the next generation. We don't have.
Grandfather's curse.
When I hear the alcoholism, this is what the breakage is. They don't care about that. We have to fix it. But we also need help. All of you guys here share the same passion for making life better. I've met this man, he can do that too. I've met all of you guys here by name only, and I know you guys have the good intentions to make a difference. All of you. That's why I'm here. I told him, what can I do? I'll do anything. Stack on each other, that's how we are. When it comes down to pushing and pulling, we'll stack.
When Auntie Abby and I were doing this project, she had other families, not Hawaiians. But she don't tell her sister, but she pulled them in.
That's it.
We had Japanese, Chinese, Filipinos, a lot of Japanese kids. Oh, they get problem. Because they don't talk, eh?
Yeah.
And poor thing, the kids looking in for silence. You know, Hawaiians, Japanese get the same problem. The kids knocking voice. The father, samurai, those days. So Auntie Abby did. Others. No, it works for all. It works for all.
You know, the bottom line is, we never Ohana Ho'opakele all the time, and I really thank Pali for jumping aboard. Pali was the guy that made it. What about the Hawaiians? How come we don't make one? How long does it have to be before we can live like Hawaii? Why is somebody telling us, oh, you gotta do this, you gotta do that? Why we not gonna do what our kupunas did? Yeah? Pali made the difference when he came aboard. We worked for 12 years, 13 years, you know. But Pali came in and he says, how come? Why we gotta wait 120 years before we live like a Hawaiian? Why I gotta live like somebody else? Yeah. Now, there was 800,000 to 1 million Maoris. Kanaka Maoli. And everything was okay. Queen Kahomanu ran to the Pu'uhonua. Kamehameha was gonna whip her ass for playing with the younger chiefs. He abused her. She ran to the Pu'uhonua. This is written in a book. She ran to the Pu'uhonua. He chased her. He stopped outside the Pu'uhonua. That's how vital the Pu'uhonua is. And the Abbey was the one that mentioned Pu'uhonua long time ago to us. You know, so we this. And nobody today, everybody use Pu'uhonua. Everybody mentioned Pu'uhonua. Before you know, you're nothing. But that's the ticket, yeah. When I said 800,000 to a million Kanaka Maoris, these other nationalities that came in, they never come here for help the Hawaiian. They came here for help themselves. Now you can see who's the destitute one, the host.
But we still cannot give up. We cannot give up, like he tells me, we cannot give up the philosophy that we're born into. I cannot change my thinking, my beliefs.
Yeah.
Because you see, if we include everyone, this is what they all want. You watch down the line. But in the end, the ones going to be holding the rope will be those unfortunate. It always happens that way.
Yeah.
I don't care how many millions of blacks wound up in Washington.
Yeah.
After he died, King died, everybody went home.
Yeah. See, technically,
You don't see the civil rights being moved. You don't hear the Akaka bill being promoted because everybody went home again. This is what brother was saying. We cannot just stay stacked on each other. We need to disseminate and learn to allow other people to come, other voices to be part of it. I don't do this by myself. There are so many other artists of nationalities that ask me, how come you guys do this better than us? Because this is where we're from.
'Cause you know
You
what?
brought your stuff
We
here.
get Chinese, Howard,
Hello.
okay, blood, all in us.
Hello, Danish,
Not only
Irish.
Hawaiian.
Hello.
We get all these other bloods.
Hello.
That's why I thought Hawaiian, no top sting about the Howard. Because your forefather is Howard. My forefather is Howard, Irish.
I remember Howley knew me white there.
Hey, but you know we're coming back to Pu'uhonua. Historically, that place is a sacred place.
That's right.
Now, you know Kamehameha, he wouldn't give a shit if something like that. He wouldn't give a rip that he was one Ohana, he would kill him. But it's funny, you know, when they went to that place,
Well, it's like Alexander the
No,
Great. See, when he went to the whole,
no.
he didn't care.
That pool,
Kamehameha didn't care.
that's a setting. That setting go way back. Why did he not kill the people in there? Because he knew that place was sacred. That Pu'uhonua is a sacred place. It has a historical setting. I have this
Hawaii
older
Pana.
family from North Carolina. She went down there last week. She told me, hey, you don't get one light come inside that bay right by that Pu'uhonua? She said, are you aware of that? Are you aware, you folks, that Pu'uhonua in Kulani is a sacred place?
That's right.
The Hawaiians before, they used to worship eel.
Right.
Until the Tahitian came and threw us all these crazy gods. Hawaiians wasn't worshiping that God. The Hawaiians was worshiping the Creator. That's what he was worshiping. Their Pu'uhonua was where the Creator. I'm a Christian man. Creator said he would visit everybody. That's why the Pu'uhonua is a sacred place where families come together. That's why I told you, that place gave an historical setting. But nobody is looking at it. Everybody today, they use them as a tourist attraction. It is not a tourist attraction. It is a sacred place. If you know what I'm talking about. Like my mother told me, pray. I tell you, today I pray. I pray in the morning and I pray in the evening. Because I know there's a Creator. I know the Creator will help us. I told my brother, off the record, if they never overthrow the kingdom, you and I will be rich. All us Hawaiians will be with our Mercedes and all that. We would have been rich. Like the Kamehameha school. Would we be the same Hawaiian practicing the same values? Would we see the same, to practice the same values that we were begin? I tell you, know what, off the record, I think the Kirikou will kick our board. But, personal speaking, I've been through a lot. I lost my 2 jobs. I went cancer. And I'm a mountain. I live on faith. Yeah. I live on faith. I don't know mine. If I get my key brought there, I He retired. He thought he was going to eat potato chip. No, keep your ass in the farm. You're not going to work. So I make him pick up all the stuff. But what I'm trying to say is that, no, we're doing right because the Lord, the Creator, is with us. But I know when we go through all this, you know what make us? What make us, Sam? Make us more strong. Yeah. Not the Hawaiians. You know what the Hawaiians not can go ahead? We're not going to even put our organization together. We gotta tell these guys, hey, stop bothering us. We're trying to set our house. And that's why the Hawaiians get a hard time. No can set the organization. These guys come and they tell us, you're not doing this. Hey, just like the money they're going to give for the Hawaiian homes. No. Attorney General say, oh no, the money go back to state. Now we're going to treat you like one vendor. Vendor hell. That money came from white care business.
Yeah.
That's not grant money.
Yeah.
That's not a grant money.
That's right.
And that money never come from you guys.
Yeah.
But they're going to put it. So what I'm trying to say is that they're Pu'uhonua as a historical city. Because we should also add that part. That's why Kamehameha couldn't kill nobody in there. He knew, and all the chiefs from whatever they came, they knew that that place was sacred. It's still sacred, that ground. They're using it on tourist attraction. And it is not. It's like one temple. It is a temple. It's a sacred ground where we heal. And that's why we want to put this Pu'uhonua. Budget-wise, oh no, you know they compare. The budget of Pu'uhonua is anti-Abbey. We run on our salary budget, our leaking. And we did all that numbers. They will take all those probation officers and 1,000 state workers to bring the figures that anti-Abbey brought down. Only very nice with our leaking, whatever few things we had. We talk about budget-wise. Oh, he slashed that thing more than because you have other organizations already have the grant to do that program. All the Hawaiian organizations will be involved in this to be as part of the grant together to form that. So when you talk about budget-wise, oh, it's nothing to compare. Let's take no more money. Yeah. So you know those running for office, they want to show that. So I heard like this businessman said one of the senators will come to Europe. They're trying to help the businessmen and the farmers to get this thing going, make the marketing going. So let's take, we know we don't more money. The Pu'uhonua budget, if you put budget-wise, 50 million. 50 million. You can get how much? 100,000 for your salary. Now even that will cover.
Yeah.
Will cover that. If you look on the finance, counting money, Pu'uhonua is minimum.
Minimal.
Yeah,
Minimal.
Yeah, budget.
I agree. Follow that track.
Correct.
Any questions? Anybody thinking to ask Bill?
Sure.
So, go ahead. You had any more? No?
Yeah. You had said in the first email, you might be able to find a lawyer who might take our civil rights case.
I would hope so.
Uh,
You mean your civil rights action
Yeah.
on the second suit?
yeah, a second suit.
I would hope so. I was hoping then, but now that I look at the fact that there's no successful suit, I think that's going to be hard.
Oh,
But you can bring it pro se again. You get the template.
yeah.
No, I'd like to do that. I mean, not going to stop us.
But that was our idea when we wrote to 16 lawyers asking,
You know,
can we use your name to publicize a possible lawsuit? And of the 16, the first 7 said yes. Yeah,
Yeah, use a name, but they're not
use the
gonna-
name, yeah, but they're not gonna do the actual work, but we can use the name. So at least we wanted to use the prestige of these names.
Yeah.
And 3 of them are Kanaka, including Elizabeth Nakia and Clarence Ching, Ching, and Gerard Jervis, yeah. all three said yes, besides Eric Seitz, Stanford Matsui, John Carroll, and one more, Miles Brenner, who has been taking cases. So we got 7 to say yes. One more, Goro said, wait, I gotta read all the material first. He hasn't gotten back to me. And I sent out 3 more, Stanford, or, who's that? Oshiro. Oshiro, Dana Ishibashi at White Kondo's suggestion, and Brian DeLima. I just tried to see if they would say yes or no. But I sent to Michael Matsukawa, who's a corporation counsel under Lorraine Inoue. I sent, who else did I send to? Art Goto and Carrie Shirota, who's a good friend of Radine Karasuda, but they haven't responded yet.
Well, I think like Polly, you can, they won't be the lawyers.
Yeah.
They'll sign their name,
Yeah.
but it'll be effective if you brought it pro se again.
Yeah.
It'll be just as effective.
Yeah.
And I think doing this publicity and getting name and doing the things we're doing simultaneously with doing the legal stuff, maybe at the end you're gonna find someone step up because it's attractive, it's right, and they wanna be part of trying to make a difference, knowing what you said, that the object to me really is, it's a win-win because nobody's done it, and if we don't raise it and it becomes something in a court case that they gotta answer to. So I'm interested to know how they answer the statistics and how they never paid attention when, yes, all the blacks have rights in the United States, and so does American Indians, but American Indians added language about their religious rights and their burial rights. So there are separate languages in law that identify different races that say, yeah, we are of America, but we are different, and here's the laws that says why. Okay? So I don't know where that stands for blacks other than they're all free like everybody else. But in Hawaii, there is a statute that the state constitution that talks about me. So they are obligated to pay attention to me by having that as part of why do you have it then? Why is that a state constitutional law if you're not going to look at it the way we look at it as Hawaiians, and just don't try to fluff it up to be, yeah, we covered all the bases, but you're not paying attention to what you're talking about. So I'm saying that a stronger point of view about the neglect of the state, the strongest point about how they can continuously do the neglect and have no program in place to show that there was trying to stop this, but allow this to continue on and say that, yeah, we can almost look at it like racial profiling because our numbers are there. I mean, how does a number get there, okay? So you're arresting more Hawaiian people. Maybe you didn't go out and arrest them, but why are they the one causing all the cause to get arrested? Are we going to address that? Or we're going to just say, hey, we're not picking them out as a personal person, but how the hell can a judge sit in Hawaii and send more Hawaiians, who's a minority, host people to prison, to jail every day, and not be concerned that something is wrong? I mean, you're a judge now. Don't you see some injustice, or is it just a number that you process people through? So how does all that come to a focus about if we don't raise the issue and say nobody did it, but we're going to raise red flags. We're going to lose on the red flags, but the poll's going to be there. Don't you go there no more. Because it's stuck right there. Even though it's a loss, it's an attention point of view with documentation that you cannot go back at it if I raise it again. Does that make sense? So we should be at this point of setting up this arguing those points, document it. At least our children who wants to be lawyers someday in law school will read these things that we create.
Well, you want to bring it up to the public.
Yeah, because we really don't have a treaty, right? I mean, American Indians got treaties. We don't. So we gotta make these little laws along the way as pieces of a treaty maybe. Pieces of recognition that can be used by the future and expand on. And if we don't leave little messages and little concrete things behind, then the keys ain't gonna pick it up. It's gonna be so much harder if we don't step a little stepping stones for our future Hawaiians to look at and expand on our arguments, because they are never gonna give it back. You know that. We stuck in the stir fry, and we just want a piece of recognition in that. And that's all we want, and we deserve that. We have a right to it, so we gotta exert it. And that's all we do. And if the trusts all living in their comfortable shoes, and all our Hawaiian politicians in their comfortable shoes, and all our professors at university in Hawaiian studies with their comfortable shoes, stay comfortable, then that's how it's been. That shows me the most gross neglect to the whole race of people, the assimilation that they have assimilated into something and morphed into some kind of, to me, GMO Hawaiians now. Genetically modified kind of Hawaiians that don't even look at themselves as being real anymore, but artificial, and raised in cubicles, not out in our Hawaiian environment. And that's what we're being run by. So we should be really aware about all that shit. And so I really appreciate you, man, big time, because we really would have been way behind. We got all the energy in the fight, but the articulation of the process and the paperwork is where we lack, and we always has as Hawaiians. That's why we lose on paper all the time, you know, from our lands to now. But I really don't know how to tell, you know, really thanks, man, because you kind of like, you know, keep the fire burning, and we're ready to go forward, and I don't hear anything negative out of you. It's all strategy. And it's got angles, and it's got wins at the end. Whether you win in a lawsuit or not, it's just awareness that we can get. And if we got to create an arena for that awareness and window of opportunity, we got to step up to it and make the best of it, and then hope to get some results, which would be a good track record. And maybe from there it just goes up another level of taking care of the Hawaiians. And get the trust guilty too. I mean, they owe Hawaiians planning, and they have no reason to say no. Hawaiian homes got reason to tell them 49 and under you can get land. Our policy said 50, but none of them get. We cannot take care of falling through the crack Hawaiian. That's the other thing I'm thinking. I really like the idea of going to the Ford Foundation. I really like the federal angle, going to the feds. I mean, this is stuff that just like bunch of little things pushing everything together. We're gonna make a good mountain. Everybody pushing in from the sides, the way we keep it going. And it's a good thing. It's a Pono thing. It's a right thing. We're not making it up. We're just paying attention. To me, it's embarrassing that government and OA and Hawaiian Trust is never doing anything to do this. I guess if you're out of the fall to the crack, you just fall to the crack. And statistics show that's how it's been. And we got to bring that focus that we Hawaiians too. And in today's society, stats show that we're probably going to be eliminated before everybody else. And you got to know that there is no extra Hawaiians, man. We're it. You know, you got extra countries where everybody can go back to. Well, we don't have anything. So that's how important and how rare we are and how important we are. And that's how it's going to be. So, any more questions and anything you want to say?
I just want to throw in, we had high hopes for Kamanau Crab, because his PhD is on the psychological impacts on Hawaiians from all of this, right? His PhD is on that. And so we met with him by teleconference call and also in person here. And he was the one who told us that Ted Sakai had approached him to have a Pu'uhonua summit, and he's going to invite, so 7 of us went, I think, yeah. And he told us don't tell anyone I said it, but at the Pu'uhonua Summit, one of the things that you should ask for is that OHA call together all the Hawaiian Ali'i trusts and have Ohana Ho'opakele present the Pu'uhonua concept to them, yeah? So we did have the Pu'uhonua Summit. Tetsukai tried to stack his people in there, and they were trying to argue what they were doing in prison was called Pu'uhonuas, yeah? Which Richard Paglinawan, one of our lawyers, said in a small voice, you cannot put one, prison is based on healing, you cannot put one Pu'uhonua is based on, a prison based on punishment, you can't put a Pu'uhonua based on healing in one punishment environment.
Facility.
That's what he said. But he's so nice that he didn't say it real loud, and so they don't even have it on the record, yeah, that he said that. But but one of the recommendations that came out of that Pu'uhonua Summit was Kamanao Crab's suggestion. He voiced it, that OHA called together the Hawaiian Ali'i Trust for Ohana Ho'opakele to present the concept of Pu'uhonua. Now, we've been asking him to follow up on it, and he couldn't the last Thursday. He was supposed to be meeting with Micah Kane. I think he might be the head of Bishop of State now, the chair, yeah, I don't know. But he thinks Micah is the key to getting all the trust people together. So they postponed the visit. So it's going to be August the 22nd, the same day Ted Sakai meeting with us, yeah? So we're hoping that that part is going to go through so we can challenge the trust, yeah? This is your people, yeah? You got to put one commitment, long-term resources, and you have contact with all of the families, right? If we all push together, then how can it not work, right? Yeah. So we're hoping that that part is going to hit, and Kamanao really wants it to happen. We're hoping that that he wants that, because that's what his whole thesis is about.
You know, my personal feeling is that we won't get Kulani because of how it is, but the opportunity we have to keep using it is to bring our thing in is important. So.
Well, the big, strongest line we're hoping is we get Kulani, and you go build your minimum security prison on Field 33, which you run, which is right above yeah. The second one was what originally when Dante Carpenter told us to go up to Kulani. We looked at Kulani and we said, look, this place is big enough to build one Pu'uhonua on the same premises. The infrastructure is there. It's a perfect location. Spiritual, all of the things for healing are up there. Nobody can say nothing else against it. You just let us build it over there, you know, and expand it to how it used to be before, which was a 7,000 acre honor camp, you know, and that would be number 2, I think, the second strongest position, because the infrastructure is already there, yeah. And then the third might be, we talked about Field 33, which is supposed to be under almost 500 acres above the Panaiva Zoo on Department of Public Safety land. And then the one we had down the line is on Hawaiian Homelands down at South Point, where it's on the Hawaiian Homelands, and their mission is rehabilitation of Hawaiians, right? So but that would take a long, how many years down the line, yeah, if you do something like that.
So the strategy is lose the battle but win the war.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Well, we're going to negotiate how much we can win,
And
right?
kick up a
Lose
fuss,
battles
yeah.
Yeah.
To win the war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come here, man, took a lot of battles to put everybody together.
Yeah.
So, as you say, we gotta lose all these battles, but actually what we're doing is we're bringing this up to the surface. If anything what you like do, bring them on top of the roof, everybody gonna see them,
Yeah.
right? We gotta lose the battles. But with all these battles, in the end, you have death.
Might just win the war.
That's how wars are
Yep.
win. You gotta
You know,
win all
everybody
these
here,
battles.
everybody here knows, but those who don't, is that we already been talking with Duke Iona Now, Duke Iola is a Republican running against Abercrombie, and he had met the Ohana when he was lieutenant governor. And the reintroduction of the packet, I think, is, and his interest saying that he received it, and is the other political angle that, I don't know, if the governor like play, they both can play, so long we benefit at the end. But that's a political emanation for the Republican side, the neglect of the Hawaiians and incarceration. So that's the other strategy that went out. All the senators in DC all got a packet way before they talked to Obama.
Yeah.
They already had a packet of the commission's finding and all of our information. So whether they brought it up with Obama or not, well, they talked about it, but they did have a packet.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, we did, but I haven't yet sent them this one though.
Well, they don't know about the lawsuit yet, though, right?
Oh, no,
Okay.
no, we didn't do the lawsuit yet.
Oh,
Should
that,
they?
yeah, that
Okay.
always wakes people up. you know?
Okay.
Bill, on the EA lawsuit, do you think you can find us a lawyer, or are you willing to shepherd us along as pro se?
Well, they can shepherd you.
Shepherd, thank you.
Great.
You think it's stronger that we go pro se rather than have
I
a...
think it's strong. It's power.
Yeah.
Thank you for being the shepherd.
Will they give a little more flexibility because we're not lawyers
I hope so.
in the court? Yeah.
Do they give you a standby, like a public defender, if you're going pro se to defend yourself in a court case? Don't they, and you want to go pro se, don't they have somebody assigned to make sure you don't step out of bounds or not?
No,
Okay.
Not if we taking the case, huh?
not if you're taking the case.
Yeah, with the plaintiffs. Right?
But I'll be right behind you.
Yeah,
Right on, right on, William. Right on.
You're behind me.
I'm glad you met everybody, and everybody meets you besides the phone, so you can see all the faces and the energy behind all of this. There's a lot more in the community, but today's a working day.
Yeah, we have 1,500, how many on our kahele?
1,600, I think the 18th, 1,618 signatures. We gotta thank Uncle Joe Tassel for keeping at it, and he's gotten a lot of the Democratic Party people, so he got, Dana Kaka signed it, you know, we've got,
Rocky, you inside now?
No, I remember it's my first day out, guys.
here's one.
I told you, if there's
Well,
any way I can
welcome
make
out,
a difference.
So, Bill, the next steps we're likely to see in this EA, can you walk us through the thing a little bit?
This got filed, and they got a summons, and so they're gonna respond with an answer.
Within 20 days, is it?
Right, but usually they negotiate, they want extension, you give them extensions out of courtesy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can talk to me about that. But the key comes when they, in their answer, they're gonna move to dismiss this complaint.
Right.
And they're gonna move to dismiss on the grounds that we don't have a real plaintiff who's been injured, and that they're gonna move to dismiss as a matter of law that the complaint is complete. No, the EA is complete. The EA is complete. So one thing is, if you can, the most important thing is to get some plaintiffs who would be in the Pu'uhonua if Pu'uhonua is set up at Kulani Correctional Facility. In other words, we've got
About that,
someone who's in prison.
One more year, you get
like,
life.
Oh, well,
But,
that's okay. Better than nothing.
no, but I did bring together,
Leo?
this is a list of the Ohana Ho'opakele correspondence from Pahau in Saguaro.
Yeah, something like that.
Their dates of their letters to us and their names and numbers on it. So from Saguaro alone, those who probably still in, we probably get 49 names. And
Okay, if you can get those as plaintiffs pro se too, that
Yeah.
would be really helpful.
wow,
Oh, that'd be great.
If we can, yeah.
Write them a letter seeing if they're willing to be plaintiffs.
Well, but we don't even know if they're gonna let the letter in now.
We'll deal with that.
Huh?
We'll deal with that later.
Let them refuse first.
Yeah, let them.
Let them refuse it. But,
They have a right to be a part of a lawsuit.
yeah.
It's going to affect them. So that's what we have to show the court that we have plaintiffs for whom this is important.
Yeah.
They'll be injured if
Terry.
Yeah.
they'll be injured if they're not included. Okay, so, and then we'll hopefully have a judge who let us put in testimony.
Is it Hara, Judge Hara?
It's Hara.
How is Hara? Is he
He's an ex-military, so that's a little scary.
But he's by the books.
But he's Stanley Hara's son, and Stanley is an old Democratic Party man. And actually, I have good relationship with Stanley Hara because we both helped a relative of his in Japan together.
okay? That's good.
But I don't know, the son knows. I don't know if the son knows anything, but
So our hope is not to win this
yeah.
suit, but to have the opportunity to present all of our testimony.
Yeah.
And to make that sort of put it on Olelo or something, make it something that's publicized.
Yeah.
You know, what I'm hearing, and I really appreciate the fact that you have come to share the counsel and what this group needs, because knowing him is what made me change my mind. I'm just an artist. I consider myself just a carver. But politically, there are things that bother me. And when I see the essence of our people hurt soulfully, how do you fix that? We create emotionally. We don't create because there's an image out there that easy to make money. I don't create that. I create spiritually from that point of view. That is what has been tainted over the years. So the people that you've mentioned, I remember when Kamanao Crab was just a National Guardsman, and that he had asked me to help him uplift the morals of mankind, Kanaka. That's why I am happy to see him in those positions. But all of these other political people, before OHA was created, we used to sit on these ad hoc committees. Even before Kaho'olawe even got that T-shirt design, we sat on these committees because people like yourself made a difference. I come with experience. I come with the fact that this is what draws me back again. Just when I thought I was out of it, you guys draw me back because there's a great concern concerning our spirit. I cannot think that I'll be sitting at a stoplight and some kid that I couldn't help will be the one that might create the accident next to me. But to knowing that I had shared something a little bit different and that one day he will grow up to be someone like I would imagine. And that's what I find that's overwhelming for me, because he came to my house yesterday asking me to participate. Come back out, we need your help. Your mana'o nui is always welcome. To hear the rest of your mana'o into this drives me to want to do more, because you see, that's why we're put here, to do more. What is it? Whatever our skills are, whatever talent that we have developed in our lifetime, we will use that to help. Because that's all we can do, is to help each other. And this, hopefully you will counsel us into good decisions to make, because we need that. The others that want to sign their name, they will join later, because until the ball game, fourth quarter, and we are ahead, they'll join. Because that has always been human nature. The fourth quarter, 6 points behind, we'll get it by 12. We'll double the score at the end, because that's what I believe human endeavor is about. You are part of a skilled process that allows us to look at the paperwork and see if there's some loopholes, see if there's some flaws, because that's what will help us in the battles and the war eventually. Because as many of us steam up that pot, that thing will rise. It will.
I'm planning ahead to go to excite people at UH, students in the movement. And one was that was with us, and he used to go to, I think, with you folks, was Andre Perez. and he was doing the prison work, and he was doing crafts, selling craft to get money
Still
to fly up. And he's still there at UH, and
In
probably go
Hawaiian
back.
studies, yeah.
And try to activate more or less the Hawaiian.
He's
Group
married
of
to
students.
Camille Kalama, who was who's one of the
Yeah,
lawyers
more
from
common
Native
guys.
Hawaiian
Mhm.
Legal Corporation, and used to be she was under Ronald Moon when she was doing her clerking.
I'm
You know,
sure.
2 years ago, Paulie Kapo and I was asked to assist some people from the Ford Foundation. I mean, this man taught me a way to talk to people, but he made me become aware, become open. Now, these 4 people came for another reason. But when I hear that the 4 people give money, they gave Vicky Hope $1.5 million for art.
Wow.
But when I hear these things, that's what I do art. And to think that we don't see that money, it's just like not seeing that money that could be used for these kinds of purposes. That's why, you know, when I met Albertini, he said, Rocky, we need another Stop the Bombing t-shirt. I know what you mean. Because that was essential. That's what the message was out. That's what changed the mentality of Kaho'olawe. Just a little t-shirt, that's all. You see what messages that will be, how you get public support. That's why I say we all are in this pot together. It's not just Hawaiians alone. The Hawaiians will lead. Let them lead. They will also include you in your families and the rest of you for future generations. And that's always been there. Look at the history. Look at the history. It's always been pono about it. And that's why this is the only culture in the world that I see that I'm here for that purpose. Because I can't extend it elsewhere because they don't believe what we believe. What we believe here is that we've taught everyone who's moved here to appreciate that value. That value is integrity. That value will always be with us. Heartstrong. This is what he talks about to me constantly. How to apply, how to utilize these ideas. And I'm all for it because I, like you, get tired when things don't move fast enough. Because I like to do things without paperwork. I like to do things without rules. Because to be free and to be kind is really a human trait. That fairness that we always talk about. Not right and wrong, that fairness, the kindness that we've always wanted to be shown us. That's what I thought our people did from day one. That's why I believe what I believe. In that extent that the Maoli people had something going. And sometimes we can be our own enemies. The Haole in me probably thought that was too slow and only realized after he got back at this age that he thought they were ahead of the game, we just didn't pick it up. So when he reminds me that we have to constantly pick it up, it becomes weary sometimes, and I tell him that. Even Kanoi told him that. Polly, your work makes you weary. But that is good because that keeps us on our toes. We're not going to give up. Your inclusion and all of you guys here with your Mana'onui is so essential for what I hear. It boggles my heart, not my mind. It boggles my heart. Because you see, that's what I keep going. I gotta keep this going. So, that's my Mana'o.
So we'll outline what we did today so that Ron, you would try to, or Jim, in order of what we're going to do with the Fed side, what we're going to do on the state side, our witness list of people we're going to do, Hawaiian organizations that want to do an amicus, or other organizations, don't have to be Hawaiians. When we filed a religious thing on Pele Defense Fund on the Go Roads, we had Quakers sign up because there was a religious destruction on the Indians at that time. Go Road was government road. So we jumped on with the Indians with Pele Defense Fund, and the Quakers jumped on as amicus, we was amicus. So it's just people that has the same interest. It doesn't have to be a Hawaiian group
Yeah.
that supports your causes that would like to sign up for amicus. So we go just do hunting around for groups that want to do that, or phone calling up, but that's what we're going to do. So we kind of get ahead of it a little bit by being more prepared. What more you need for us to do, Bill, to follow up, or what we need to come up with in the process? And while we're waiting, this is what we're gonna be doing, getting all the side things together. Is the Hawaiian bar student still around, or?
Yeah, we'll contact them.
Oh, that'd be great.
And we can have you all come down to, or some of you come down to the law school and give a presentation to the law students. I'll try and set that up.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Oh wait, what's going on?
Great.
Yeah, some of these paha, we asked them to write to Ted Sakai and the governor to ask to be put in the Pu'uhonua. And they have sent the copies, some of those
Ooh,
letters.
that'd be perfect.
We have the copies of those letters, of some of them, you know, that we have in my file.
They're hoping for something like this to
they are.
happen. There's
Yeah,
no
yeah.
window, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, there's nothing. They just do time, you know,
Yeah.
you just put in an X on your wall in a room and that's it, in your cell. You just counting sticks and they don't have anything, you know, and the problem I see the state is not allowing us to be involved in the system a year before release. They got all these hundreds of programs when you step out of prison, but there's none that will take you through a process that when you get out, you really don't have time to come back because the process changes you. The process instills more of who you are instead of ripping you down, because that's what the system's about, just storing people, warehousing them. But the program that we have set up is all where you make money in the prison, so you come out in that year with thousands of dollars in your pocket, $20,000, trying to make what we trying to set up in there, and you get out with that kind of money, assembling certain things like the water heater solar. Then as you get out on parole, you still got to be checking in with your PO. You don't have to look for a job. You go right into installation. So you start installing these solar heaters. There's just no break for you to go make a mess. And the pause when you get out with money in your pocket as an ex-PAO, it's hard to go face your family after 5 years and you ain't got no money. And you're just 5 years older, but the problem will just grow 5 years bigger because home is growing and you're not part of it. When you get there, it's a bigger picture than when you left. You know, you step out of diapers in a box. Now they're buying wardrobes, you know what I mean? More clothes, I mean, you got more responsibility as you come back out. Then to come out with no money is the first downer. So to do something in prison on your last year, and if it's about making money and you're a plumber, you're a carpenter, whatever, but if this is what you're gonna be doing to make more than that, and you don't have to wait till you get out and you won't get hired because all the carpenters out there not working, you know what I mean? So you gotta make it here, and you gotta change the attitude, and you gotta make him worth something. That if he's in an assembly place putting together solar water heaters and you're working with private companies that's part of you and they're marketing your product and the state should buy it, the county should buy it, put it on their county housing and all that stuff, so you'd have an automatic market to purchase your solar water heaters. And then when you get to parole, East Hawaii, West Hawaii, you installing. You got a garage, you got the facilities, you're putting them on the roofs, you're just steady working, and you won't have time to stop, go fool around, go look for drugs or nothing. You
And
just
before you get out. not
that's
after.
before you get out. That's what the system has a hard part.
Yeah.
Our plan is to fix before you get out.
Yeah.
No wait till you're out.
Yeah.
You know, in Anti-Abbey did the Ho'oponopono part. I was with you. My job was to help them come out into the community. Lucky Awamiki had all the infrastructure to help them, education. And this way the system failed. That's why I told Ted, your system failed when they come out. Because what happened, when they come out, I walk with them and they're still struggling. Take about 6 months just for the interview. So I wait for them. They go this way, they come back. But I was there for them. See the part?
Yeah.
The system don't have somebody for them. Because they live week by week. You know that?
Yeah.
All of them live by week by week. They get so much of issues at home in themselves.
Yeah.
They live week by week. Oh, I know that. I work with them 10 years. They go like this. But our heart was there. I wait. Because I'm a force. If they ever see you, let them draw their own conclusions so they don't tell you it's your fault. So I go all the way. It took me about 6 months. We finally get an interview. An interview, we teach them how to interview. Nice dress, clean shaven. And when they tell you, have you been incarcerated, they give paper, you don't answer that. Because if they're going to see that, they're going to throw them away. When you have an interview, you look straight at the interviewer. No chew gum and whatnot. And you come on time. If you tell you 8 o'clock, you be there 8 o'clock. But when that questionnaire comes, have you been incarcerated, don't sign it. No, we're not lying. No, you just don't sign it. So what's going to happen? That paper going back, right? They're going to do the process. Hey, all right, you never signed it, call it up. Oh, you're not saying this about. Can I come over and explain it? So they have a chance. So we teach them a process. But as I say, the system don't have that. What happens when you come out? Well, it's over already. I know that. I've been there with you. So they come back. Take about a year finally to get on the job. But they happy because empty is there and I'm there. And when they get as I say, they live week by week, right? Oh yeah, I know that. And then they come back. They get problem, choke problem. So until every time, she don't give them the answer. She want them to find who they are. Because they get fear and doubt in the brain. They don't like apply. See, the voice they telling them what to do, but they still carry their grandfather's curse. But finally, the little such small things bring great things. We always start from the bottom, right? Okay. When they make their success, just for your interview, they tell me, hey, uncle, I gave up. Hello. So, the government, the system don't have that. They don't have the Pu'uhonua for them to come back. When they come back to the probation officer, it's not a Pu'uhonua. You go look at the rules and regs. Did you violate any of that?
Yeah.
It is not empowering them to go out into the community. They get 99 clues and only 1 to give. You know that? Yeah. They have 99 clues and 1 to give. But when they have the Pu'uhonua there for them every week, come back. Don't cost money when they talk story. Maybe, hey, go send you there. Momo phone I use the food stamp, I might be there. Come and go here. You took part of that stress away from them. You know when they get VRS, because they get all stressed out, they cannot unload the issues out because they live week by week. And that's why our VRS rate went down. It was, the problem wasn't inside the prison. The problem when you come out, when you gotta face his family and face reality. That's where his problem begins. But because we have a Pu'uhonua, open up.
But then it sounds like that the Pu'uhonua should have been like same way they would have put together the Alcoholic Anonymous.
Yeah.
You know, you have a sponsor. You have a rope in which to hang on just in case I had a nip the other day.
Well, you call it complete circle, right?
Yeah.
Everything
And that's why I like the idea, the concept of the Pu'uhonua. It's like a waipana. Something as sacred as that can only be dealt with in that kind of environment. Because what he's saying too, give him back his pride. Give him back what we took away in the process. Because we didn't really take it away.
Give him back his dignity.
That's one of the...
Don't take that dignity away from him, man.
Yeah.
You take that dignity away from a person.
Yeah,
It's it.
I agree.
It's
Follow
it.
that.
Don't you ever take that dignity away from them.
That's all he's got.
You have to give them back their dignity back. That part that they're going to have, as little as he can, but because the Pu'uhonua is there, to put little bit boy and fish with him. It takes time, just like all of us. We always start from the bottom. You start from the bottom. And look at you today, smelling good. Right? But at least, as his statement said, that's why I love him. When Queen Lilo Kulani came and he told, what is his name? That this is 2012, this is not 1978 issue. Yeah. But what he meant was all these people who had power step up on the plate. They're all complacent.
Yeah.
Yeah. They in the 1980. Hello, bro. It has escalated. It's 2013. So I'm glad you coming out from your complacent zone and helping us. I wasn't complaining, I was just busy. And then my phone, I lost my phone. So I told my daughter, I didn't keep one phone. She buy me one new. I love my kids, my girl. She buy my phone. Finally, I didn't get your message. Always nice to be here. So I told my brother, hey, he's feeding the pigs. I was cleaning my pig. I look, oh, 30. But I was busy. We tried to get our farmers market going. And we are.
So now when you go home, you're gonna find a truck in where you from.
But as I said, Pu'uhonua, and that's what the system doesn't have, for them to come back, because they live on a week to week. If you get that stats, all of those guys, and they're going to tell you, they're going to make testimony, we live week to week, judge. Yeah, you get them all, they're going to tell you we live on a week to week basis. We live on a month to month basis. They live on a week to week. If you can get all of that, I tell you, it's scary to tell you. They're going to bring you all the ghost stories of what they go through. And 99%, all of them go back to jail. They all go back because they didn't have the party.
You know what's really frightening? I started teaching at Keokaha for 3 years, and I taught kindergarten to 6th grade, regular school and charter school. One of the things that I found in my association with the children was the fact that they all had issues. They weren't living with their biological parents. That was number one that I found strange, because some of us who have had the opportunity don't really realize others do not. But those 3.5 years that I worked at Keokaha, from all of these kids, they struggled. Now, when they get to be adults, what? They're going to struggle even more. So my philosophy was, if we could catch these children at that age, when they're about to peak, and I don't mean in terms of their testosterone, I mean, I'm talking about when their mind starts to ask questions, and not be saying, oh, just do what I tell you. I was always the idea that it gave them enough freedom. There's no such thing as mistakes. How can I make mistake? I don't see the mistake. Get another paper, move on. Until you finally have the freedom, until you have the confidence, until you have that integrity, say, oh, I know what he was saying, and you proceed. I know that by the time they become adults or young adults, they won't have as many issues. I've got issues, but I'm not going to lay my issues on you. My issue is to make sure you don't develop those issues, because I'd like to see you be a good person one day. I tell my grandson that, tell my kids that. They all are good people. They're good people. But you need that light at the end. Just like Polly said, we need that light at the end. We need the handhold so we can say that there's something like Plan B available for us to at least latch on. One more day, one more week, one more month. It's hard sometimes because you can see the frustration in their eyes. Not in their heart, because they're going to do a good job of hiding it. But in their eyes, you can see that they're going to struggle with this. And my heart is with them all the time. To see that our men are down into that position, that's why talking of Kamana'o crab, his idea was psychological. And that's what I told him. When you do an EIS, it's not just environmental, it's emotional. We are part of that land. We're 90% water. What makes you think we're not part of that elemental? We are, and always will be. To take us out of that playbook, we're going to have problems.
You know, in EISs they use a lot of words, but those words can express sound and feelings. So it's just words, and it's got a lot to it for the native claims, you know, but those things are not understood or felt. It's just on word. That's what misses out of EIS is the passion. You know, can, I guess, adjust that on writing. So
it was through him I learned that, remember Sam, when we first started? It was through him I understood the 3 letters. What do you mean EIS? Oh, they say environmental, but I told them, well, what about emotional? We're connected to the environment. You cut down that tree, but where are we going to shade ourselves? Where are we going to feed ourselves if that tree is providing some sort of sustenance? If you destroy that, where do I fit in now? Because see, we're part of it. We're going to miss it.
And
that's
you
what
know,
I told him. He taught me a lot.
EIS there's an impact only on Hawaiian people. They don't talk about Portuguese, Chinese, Filipino. There's no impact on them. They're part of the social situations. There's a separate section in EIS that deals with us. But like I said, who they hire to do that does it in a way that they want it to be done. So there's no flaws, there's no whatever. It just flows through, to complete the EIS. And they look for companies that's already been doing this and already have a habit, and their ideas pass, so they hire them again, and they just get repetitive. But I'm looking at saying, environmental law at the university, who teaches environmental law is really looking at it from an island here, from a science perspective. That's their environment. It's always challenging chemicals versus this, and parts per billion, all of that stuff. But there's no, to me, cultural input in that understanding in EIS. Okay? It's even draft the EIS. You ask yourself today, if there's a section on Hawaiians, who has set up the criteria? Is it a Hawaiian? Is it a practitioner? No, it's a new University of Hawaii professor teaching environmental law. They get to draft, them and maybe the OEQC, Environmental Quality Control, or the CZM, the Coastal Zone Management. These are departments set up by the state to look at the impacts in the EIS. And none of them have cultural expertise.
Especially the syllabus.
And none of them. And then they make up the whole thing on the cultural impact study by throwing in, fluff it up with a chant, fluff it up with a song, fluff it up with some old folks that answer questions the way you want them to, and then it all goes in, take a few shots of a burial, put number 452, couple this, couple that, bird songs, and then it's about that thick, and it's part of your cultural assessment in the EIS, comes up with no cultural impact or nothing will be wrong with this. It's not about our future, it's about now. And they don't talk about the past, they just talk about now, and they're doing the project. But who again looks at this in the EIS? Is it a Hawaiian that does it? Is it a practitioner that does it? A traditional Hawaiian? No. You're going to be looked at by the planning department. Who the hell is this guy? He's a planning department. They'll go skipping through. Then the commission that they work with, the planning commission, goes skimming through. None of them has expertise in the Hawaiian concern.
Yeah.
And yet that's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
Nobody addresses, not even OHA. The state comes around, like when we did the hunting, DLNR telling us we are changing the definitions of words here in your hunting rules. Wildlife is going to be under this zone. If you move wildlife from point A to point B, that's illegal because you're transporting wildlife. This all came over the deer now. When that guy bring the deer, when Danny brought the deer from Maui, over here, the feds step in because the state didn't have any laws on that, right? Traditional customary practice. I can bring pig to my grandma's house and I went kids over here. What do you mean I cannot go from point A to point B with wildlife? So they tried to figure a way of us and Danny's situation of not bringing invasive species, which is deer now, or goats or whatever, inter-island. So they came up and made these rules, and I went, excuse me, did you check with Attorney General that by making these rules, my traditional practice makes me a criminal? Because I do take food to my grandma's place that I caught way on this side of the island. They live this side, and I go raise them and make kalua, and I go take the food there or take it there and kalua. I'm a criminal? I mean, because you're going to change the definition of words? Nobody looks at how it affects me. Okay? Traditional practice. Now I don't have that tradition no more because the definition of DLNR, changing language, makes me a criminal, not looking into my traditional practice.
I call up OHA on this, and they don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, they get one staff over there, okay, and they get one guy getting paid called a cultural expert.
Yeah.
There's a guy in there paid to be a cultural expert, and you talk to him, I don't know where, but he just came out of a book, but he never lived the life and grew up with understanding it from traditional practice. You don't can get traditional practice out of one book. It came from your tutu, came from your parent, it walked its way down to become traditional. So that's what I'm talking about, them not understanding and making our practice a criminal thing by changing the definition. So we complained about where's the Hawaiian input in this defining that the EIS is complete or not, and there ain't any. So I'm just saying that the EIS laws that they have pertaining to me is never defined by me,
Yeah.
never created by me, on what is important in my traditional practice. How do you stop when insult traditional practice, or how do you insult the theology of religion? How do you alter theology of religion? Freedom of a religion, number one, should be left with the respect that, yes, I have this belief and I'm a veteran, I fought for this belief, why is not recognized at home? Okay? That's a simple kind of question in 2013 that I don't think we should be asking, that the government in Hawaii has got to recognize me on the heiau. Wow, Mr. Johnson owns the hotel, gets to buy my church? No way. The Vatican owns every Catholic church in the world. But this Mr. Johnson at Kamehameha Hotel can go buy this thing and then tell me, you know, bro, you cannot come in here, I'm closed. You cannot come here. Tell me when for come. And plus, you cannot climb on top. So now I get foreign dictating how I should believe, foreigner owning my church that's already recorded historically about how far this heiau has been and what it's been used for and all the important Hawaiians that use it at that time. And today I gotta go to this ridicule? Like going to National Park, where you going? Church. Ah. If you go in church, it means you're not paying in the head, yeah? Then you cannot use the facilities, you know. You can go do your church up there, Volcano, but no go by the bathroom, no go use this, go that, because you never pay for coming.
Amen. We the church.
Yeah, well,
Church is only one roof and one wall and one carpet.
yeah.
We are the church. I just wanted to give my point.
Pahoa, you know, there's a public meeting down in Pahoa on the health study done by Adler on the geothermal. And I just went through it last night, 100 pages. Not one word on the psychological impact to Hawaiians on the desecration of the whole thing. It's just not even there. You know, they talk about the air and everything, but nothing to the health impacts to Hawaiians from the drilling into the deity, the Pele. Yeah? So I've raised that with Patrici. I said, hey, this should be the primary thing that's looked into. It's number one in my book. That's what it should be. Yeah?
And then go down to the other
Yeah.
issues. But at least plant the seed every time that is the base of this. And then we do health issues after, because
Okay.
that's really important.
I'll try to, the meeting is 3:30 till 8, I'll try to raise it, but if anybody else is free that can raise those concerns, I think it'd be important.
So I'm just, go ahead.
No, I want to go back to some specific.
Yeah, well, I was going to UH and saying that the University of Hawaii has a lot to do with the direction of the EIS.
That's right.
They have all to do with it, because that's the people that are drafting the questions that goes out to look at impact is, you know. When you look at water quality, they got a gauge. So many parts this, so many parts that. They do that with air. They do that with sound. They get gauges. What's the gauge for Hawaiian impact? What do you compare it to? To say that this is an impact, this isn't. You ain't got nothing. So who are you to come up with the decision that it's adequate enough to go bulldoze this whole place down and stop development? How was that justified? That's so racist, man. And that's just, and this is 2013. I mean, we grumble for years as activists about our point of view. And that has legitimacy, I think, our point of view. And it's not being addressed. So I don't know what Hawaiian studies do at university, but for all of the rules and the things that are set up to do permits and stuff set up by UH. And they've used UH a lot in everything, studies and all kinds of stuff or projects they want. So I just think that they should be aware at UH that they got to be more serious or more fine-tuned and more justifiable in making up these things. And I know, and what, Antonelli? Antonini, she was part of the environmental drafting of things, and she should know better because I met her years ago before she became what she is, as a professor, and she was probably working with Sierra Legal Defense Fund with Skip Spaulding and all those guys back in the day. So she goes way back in understanding our struggles, but not mentioning that in her stepping up into professor at UH and being part of the EIS and drafting up rules, leaving the neglect of our concerns is what I was kind of disappointed about. And the same thing with Melody McKenzie. They were way back when, and they never had, or I don't see any of their professionalism at Richardson School of Law, or whatever position she's in, to take issues to legislature, or make issues where it's changeable. We gotta go lobby in legislature. We have to go get arrested in a situation, get in a litigation to make a difference, when the university should be making most of the difference because they have the library, they got their peers, they got the whole sections of the university that does certain expertise, and we shouldn't be grumbling about they're still digging up our bones at this place, they're still taking all our resources, they're still cutting access. I mean, I can understand that these people in this level that should be taking the lead because of everything that they got in their hands has to depend on farmer or fishermen to get arrested and go through the process to make a difference for their lives. It's way overdue to me. The Hawaiian Studies program, they're all in professors and all those, not being more concerned about that and not just teach classes about how we get arrested and our concern that they read about, but they should be part of not letting us go through this process to raise our issues. We pay taxes. As a Hawaiian, we pay plenty. And it's bad to keep paying into a system and people in the system when we don't get nothing back, but we still gotta keep paying it out. And as host people, I really say we pay double the cracks. So very few people, gonna fall through and understand it. And you can see on this table that, why isn't it all the people a little bit more above us to do this work?
Right places.
And I mean, they can get it done so fast, but you gotta come from the bottom and struggle and try to bring it up there. So. Ron, you wanted to say something?
Two questions. One, Ali asked earlier was in a note we didn't ask. Is there a difference between filing this suit against violation of civil rights in the state of Hawaii and federal? Or can you do it both, or?
I haven't seen anyone file it, but I would recommend filing it in state court because the state court judges are more sympathetic.
State court.
But let me think about that.
Okay, that's the first question. The second one was, we came up with a whole list of all suggested people as witnesses, and you said would be good if we added plaintiffs who might be people who could be into the Pu'uhonua, right, the Pahao, like Saguaro. Are there other plaintiffs, or what would the criteria for good witnesses?
Well, good plaintiffs would be people who, this is hard to find, but people who use Kulani Honor Camp's area as Hawaiians, either spiritually or gathering or anything like that. or living there.
Yeah. Calvin
So-
Kaleva here lives up there in
Yeah. He
Hunts.
he hunts in there.
Yeah. I know one Portuguese hunter that I just talked
Oh, that's
to.
fine.
Because hunting over there. I check.
Are we gonna bring up the argument about how Kulani got downsized from thousands of acres down to a couple hundred acres, and DLNR occupied all the rest of the forest around Kulani, put up a fence, and called it a NARS area now? So that, and they don't have any use, but when you look at their map, they get proposed all over the place. So they're thinking of what we're gonna use them for. So the pasture where the Kulani guys raise their cattle, because it was self-sufficient up there, we raise our own pigs and cattle and bring it down to the slaughterhouse and bring it back up. So it's self-sufficient. What they did was they go plant silver swords in the pasture real quick, so that it's like an endangered plant, and we can't get the forest back because DLNR does this and that. And recently, in our complaint to DLNR during the fencing project, which is still pending now in DLNR, is that we complain about how you get NARS area, who sits on the board, who is this group of people that take a map like this and go, you know, we found a snail over here, so we'll go 60,000 acres and call it NARS, and then we're gonna fence it off. Okay, and then we're gonna get rid of it because it's part